The participation rate crashes. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at some, breaking, or kind of breaking, a couple of days old, yesterday's employment statistics, everyone. So the employment hours fall as lockdowns increase. And, one of the concerning takeaways here is the participation rate has fallen. Now, in some regards, participation is even more important than unemployment, I'd say. Honestly, I would really, say that. It's because people are, during a recession, businesses will close. People will lose their jobs. And that's fine, that happens. And I'll just bring up this definition here of what a recession is, everyone, just so we're thorough. A period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. Now, we've had our first recession for some time. We can see it on this chart here. There we go, 2 quarters of below growth, decline. Now, the issue is, if you lose your job and you try and get another one, and you struggle. Often if it's completely out of left field, if you feel like you've been let redundant and no one else is, it can be a dent to the ego, and you've got to build yourself up again. But the danger is, the real issue is where there's economic scarring, where people can't get back in or people give up hope. And that's the concern with the participation rate falling. In some regards, it's people giving up hope, trying to find a job. That's why you have the job maker scheme, where younger people, their employers are encouraged to take them on, like another $100 a week from the government. Now, I know that is it's discrimination. It's ageism right there built into it. But if you're older than that person and you've got so many more years of experience, you should be worth that extra $100 a week. If not, that's on you, okay? That's the reality, everyone. That's the world we're in. It's on you if you haven't skilled up in that time. So let's have a look. Employment and hours fall as lockdowns increase. Seasonally adjusted employment fell by 146,000 people, 1.1%, and hours worked dropped by 3.7% in August, according to the ABS. Bjorn Jarvis, head of labour statistics at the ABS, said the latest data covered the first 2 weeks of August, which included the continued lockdown in New South Wales, new lockdowns in Victoria, Queensland, and the ACT, and a series of changes in restrictions in other parts of the country. Labour market changes in New South Wales continued to have a huge influence on their national employment and hours worked figures. In August, there were big falls in New South Wales in both employment, 173,000, and hours worked, 6.5%. The largest falls in employment and hours in New South Wales in August, followed by falls in July, 37,000 and 7%, with employment hours down by 210,000 people and 13% since the beginning of the lockdown in late June. I mean, no one's going to be surprised that hours are down and employment is down with lockdowns. I mean, by definition, that's what it is. You're going to work less hours. There's some people that can't work from home. And this is where we're seeing the divide. This is where you're seeing some people go, how can anyone afford to buy these houses at these crazy prices? Because some people are still working with no issues. They may have picked up more opportunities. They may be busier now than ever before if they're in the construction game. And interest rates are at insanely low levels. It's just exacerbating the divide between the different groups in Australia. I mean, maybe that's the thing. You want to be in an industry, that's going to be propped up by the government, construction, or maybe we should all become civil servants, guys. That job security there. Is it worth it, though? Other states and territories that were in lockdown for part of the first 2 weeks in August also recorded large falls in hours worked, including Victoria, Queensland, and the ACT. So employment, unemployment, and participation. The national participation rate fell by 0.8 percentage points to 65.2%, following a 0.2 percentage point fall in July. So we're down 1% overall. This was underpinned by a large drop in New South Wales participation rate, down 2.5 percentage points, following a 1 percentage point fall in the previous month. Ooh. That ain't good, guys. But I mean, that's normal. When, you're not going to look for a job if you're in lockdown. So that it's not too surprising that New South Wales participation rate is down at this time. So the large fall in the national participation rate reflects a large fall in both employment and unemployment. So employment is down 146, unemployment 22 in August. The relatively large fall in unemployment, which accounted for around 13% of the 168,000 people fall in the total labour force, meant that the unemployment rate fell by 0.1 percentage points to 4.5%, Mr. Yarbus said. The fall in the unemployment rate reflects a large fall in participation during the recent lockdowns rather than a strengthening in labour market conditions. So this is the quote here. Everyone, this is what the takeaway is. A large fall in the participation during the recent lockdowns. So people aren't participating in the workforce anymore. Throughout the pandemic, we've seen large falls in participation during lockdowns, a pattern repeated over the past few months. Beyond people losing their jobs, we've seen unemployed people drop out of the labour force, given how difficult it is to actively look for work and be available for work during lockdowns. This has also coincided with a temporary pause in mutual obligations for job seekers living in lockdown areas. So it's not surprising. I mean, but here's the thing. You want to look at that as an opportunity. You want to make sure, if you're locked down, that you work on your skill stacks. You want to learn something, new skills. You want to, do a project that you've always planned to do, something so you remain active. I know it's tough, but you've got to do it, everyone. Do something fun. The fall in participation and unemployment in August 2021 echoes what we saw with the tight lockdown conditions in Victoria last year during the second wave of infections. At the time, Victoria's participation rate fell to 62.8% in September 2020, down 1.7 percentage points from June 2020 and 3.5 percentage points from March 2020. Over this period, unemployment also fell, down from 259,000 to 230,000 in September. So, I mean, that's the thing. You know what? I'm going to bring up the Roy Morgan data, guys. Roy Morgan unemployment rate here because, well, it's different data, everyone. They use different methodologies. So, you know what? I'll bring that over here. Let's jump here and have a look. So this is the Roy Morgan unemployment and underemployment data. And if we scroll right down, we can see, well, they're saying unemployment and underemployment is at 17.7%. They've got unemployment at 9.5 and underemployment at 8.2. So again, it's dropped, and it's dropped significantly as well. So people tend to argue that the Roy Morgan is kind of more accurate. They use a different methodology and approach. I know everyone will bitch and moan about, working 1 hour a week during the survey period. That technically means you're employed, but there's only about 11,000 people that can manage to pull that off in Australia. So bloody hell, cheers to them. That's the goal, guys. If you can work 1 hour a week and be fully employed, obviously you're managing some private investments. Good on you. Isn't that the dream? So both of these are trending together. The Roy Morgan data and the ABS data seem to be trending and aligned. So they're showing us the same thing. That's kind of the takeaway. That's more important than the actual unemployment rate, to be honest. So hours worked and underemployment. Nationally, hours worked decreased by 3.7% in August, considerably more than the 1.1% fall in employment. This highlights the extent to which people who experience new or continuing lockdowns had reduced hours or no work without necessarily losing their jobs. Hours worked data continues to provide the best indicator of the extent of the labour market impacts and recovery from lockdowns, Mr. Yarbus said. It shows that hours in New South Wales fell sharply over the lockdown, down 13% between June and August. The data for Victoria also shows how quickly hours can recover coming out of lockdown. There we go. I mean, there's the Victoria, there's the recovery. I mean, this is the thing, everyone. If it's just temporary due to lockdowns, is it that big a deal or a surprise? As long as people jump back. The thing is, the issue is the government will run with the lower unemployment rate and say, look at how awesome and fantastic we are. You got to see through the spin and the BS. Will most people see through the spin and the BS? we'll have to see. So there are always some employed people who are temporarily working reduced hours or no hours in a given month. But the current wave of lockdowns has seen this become more common. Compared with August 2019, there were an extra 1.2 million employed people who worked reduced hours for economic and other reasons in August 2021, including 532,000 who worked no hours for those reasons. The large fall in hours worked saw the underemployment rate increase for the third consecutive month, up 1 percentage point to 9.3% in August. So that's, I'm just looking here at the Roy Morgan data, that's different to what we're seeing there. Roy Morgan, their underemployment rate has gone down, where ABS is saying it's gone up. So there's a little difference. So this was underpinned by increases in the underemployment rates in New South Wales, up 0.9 points to 10.2, Victoria up 0.9 to 9.1, Queensland up 0.7 to 8.4, ACT up 0.7 to 7.1. Today's release includes analysis of hours worked, including people working 0 hours, and analysis of employment and hours worked at the state and territory level. So let's jump over here and have a look at the key statistics. So unemployment rate has decreased to 4.5%, everyone. 4.5% is now the unemployment rate. Participation rate has decreased to 65.2. Employment decreased to 13 million and change. The employment to population ratio has decreased to 62.2. The underemployment rate is 9.3, and we only worked 66 million hours. Come on, guys, step up. Only 66 million hours? We need to bring in, what is that, 765 or 762? That crazy Chinese work week, 9 to 9, 996, 9 to 9, 6 days a week. There we go. So, yeah, we can see that. Yearly change, the biggest one in unemployed people, is down 32.6% over the year. So, yeah, there you go. That just shows you how much of an impact the lockdowns had. If we scroll down here, any other interesting charts? What do we have here? So there you go. There's the unemployment rate, guys. Look at that. It's going down. Lowest it's been in a long time. Where's the participation rate? Have they got that on a chart as well? Employment to population ratio, hours worked, participation rate. Yeah, so it seems to be lower. Yeah, it's definitely lower than it's been for some time. Wow. Yeah, that's the issue, guys. Just look at the differences in the genders in blokes and ladies. Males and females, and maybe that could explain why there's differences in super earnings and there's differences in wages earned. I wonder. Maybe we don't need a whole government department looking at this. Oh boy, maybe people are different and make different choices in their life. That's crazy talk, Florian. I can't say that on YouTube. Underemployment, it's jumped up. Let's see the states. How are we looking here? What's unemployment rate? 4.9 in New South Wales. 4.1 in Victoria. 5.3 in Queensland. Oh, we're up there. 5% in South Australia. 4.6 WA. 5.5 in Tasmania. 3.4 in NT. 3.5 in the ACT. So Queensland with second worst to Tasmania, everyone. There you have it. So what's the solution or the takeaway to this one, guys? Well, here's the thing. We're seeing a decrease in the unemployment rate, 4.5. People push that as good news. Fantastic. But the participation rate is decreasing. Now, hopefully this decrease is only because of the lockdowns. So people aren't looking for work, well, for two reasons. One, because they don't have to. And two, because it's kind of pointless. If you're locked down and you can't even get to your work, you can't even do that. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully this isn't going to manifest in long-term economic scarring. I'm seeing people facetiously share on Twitter and things, congratulations to all the retired people. I mean, here's the thing, all it takes is just you during the survey period, you're saying, no, I'm not looking for work now. There's no point. I'm in lockdown. Then you're out of the participation. It's not surprising at all. Now, if it's people who are giving up, and we're going to see that as a long-term trend, we need to look at the data for a few more releases to see if that manifests into something. I honestly don't think it will. I think we're just seeing a blip because of the lockdowns. This makes perfect sense. So, maybe people are overreacting. We'll have to see. What do you think, everyone? Let us know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. Buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.